Have you ever wondered if you or someone you love is autistic? An estimated 60% of those on the autism spectrum are undiagnosed, leaving them without understanding or support, and at a higher risk of depression, anxiety, and suicide. In one of our previous videos, we talked about things that autistic people wanted you to know. But what if you could also be autistic? In scientific surveys, many autistic adults report common experiences in their younger years that can guide others on their journey. Here are 5 signs you are an undiagnosed autistic adult, but don't know it. Written by our autistic specialist writer. Disclaimer: although this list is based on scientific research, it is not a substitute for professional diagnosis. Please see a psychological professional if you are interested in exploring an autism diagnosis. Number 1. You always knew you were different, but didn't know why. Imagine this. You are 8 years old and trying to impress the other kids in the playground by identifying the leaves. This one's a conifer. You can tell by the clusters of needles. You see nods of approval. This one's an aspen. You can tell by the round leaf and flat petiole. You hear an exaggerated wow, followed by barely concealed titters. Before you can figure out if they are being sarcastic, everyone bursts out laughing and walks away from you, leaving you alone. Bewildered and understanding only one thing: other kids don't talk about leaves. Does this sound familiar? Autistic adults report that before their diagnosis, they always knew they were different from others but never knew why. From a young age, every day brought punishing reminders that everyone else thought, acted, spoke, dressed, and expressed emotions differently, without any explanation. In every crowd, they were always the odd one out, leaving them feeling like an alien stranded among earthlings without a guide. Have you always felt like you were the odd one out your whole life? You might be human after all, just an autistic one. Number 2. You sympathize with autistic people. Have you ever read the biography of an autistic person, watched a news story about an autistic person, or watched a social media video by an autistic influencer and thought, that sounds like me? Was it almost as if they were presenting your own life story even though you thought you were one of a kind? If you feel like their stories are your stories, their thoughts are your thoughts, and their feelings are your feelings, maybe that's because they are. This deep sympathy could be a sign that you have found your crowd. After many years of being alienated from everyone around you, finding a single other person with similar experiences can be a life-changing moment, and a sign that you are also autistic. Number 3. You sympathize with characters with autistic traits. On the other hand, do you have a deep connection with fictional characters who have autistic traits? Fictional characters often have exaggerated quirks that are easier to pick up on, so even characters who are not officially on the autism spectrum can still have traits that are relatable to an autistic audience. Before the author of this video was diagnosed, his friend once compared his habits to those of Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory. Stilted and pedantic speech? Check. Favorite sitting spots? Check. Adherence to strict routines? Check. If you feel like the autistic character in fictional stories is the only normal character and everyone else are the weird ones, that could be a sign that you're also autistic. Number 4. You are pretending to be normal. How do you respond to the pressure to fit in? Autistic adults often feel that society is unforgiving about the normal traits and unspoken norms that everyone else takes for granted. Make eye contact, but not too much. Make small talk, but only about the right topics. Be honest, but not too honest. If these don't come naturally to you and you are constantly pretending to be normal, you might be masking. This is when autistic people force themselves to consciously imitate normal behavior, like following a script, even at the risk of great stress, exhaustion, and self-doubt. Even worse, nobody gives you a guide on how to do it. If you feel like it's a constant struggle to appear normal to others to gain acceptance, you might be masking like other autistic people. Number 5. You research autism compulsively. Is this the first autism-related video you clicked on? If you are autistic, then chances are that it's just one part of the autistic rabbit hole that you've burrowed deeply into. Many autistic adults report that when they first heard of autism, they passed a tipping point in their life. Every detail seemed to match their lifelong search for answers about why they were so different from others, so they researched it compulsively through endless articles, books, movies, websites, and contacting other autistic people until they identified themselves as autistic and sought a diagnosis. If this sounds like the journey you are on, then maybe this video is the tipping point for you. So there you have it. 5 signs you're an undiagnosed autistic adult but don't know it. If you feel like you are different from others, sympathize with autistic people and characters, are always pretending to be normal and research autism compulsively, then you might want to consider seeking a diagnosis. This can be a key step to understanding, self-acceptance, and support. If you're interested in learning more, see our other videos about autism. If this video helped you and you think it'll help others, don't forget to like and share. The studies and references used are listed in the description below. See you next time.